What's going on there, friends and neighbors? I am Rob Reviews, and today I am taking a look at the double EP release from Ray Brown as titled Lovers 1 and Lovers 2. So each EP is 6 tracks long. I'll tell you my top 3 favorite tracks from both EPs, give my rating, and then you can go out and buy these EPs yourself because they are totally worth it. Alright, let's talk about Lovers 1 first. Track 1, Real Love. Real Love was the second single off of this EP release, and it leads off Lovers Part 1 with shattering keys and very, very beautiful harmonies. It's quite the visual opener as well. Echoes, vocals, keys. I mean, the track barely prepares you for what you're about to experience, but as for an opener and as for a track all of its own, Real Love is fantastic. Real Love is also my third major favorite out of my top 3 favorite tracks off of Lovers Part 1. From the instrumentals to the vocals, I mean, Real Love is just an opening smasher. Track 2, Never Quite Right. Track 2 really kicks up the sad boy hour vibes. I love this track from the very beginning. The second it started playing, I knew this was going to be an instant love of mine, and not to my surprise, Never Quite Right is my favorite song off of Lovers 1. The R&B feel, the soft keys, the drumming, Ray's beautiful, friggin' perfect voice. This track is beautiful, it's pristine, it's delicate, but then the drums and the guitar kick in, and the track becomes something wholly different from what it started out as. Never Quite Right, I think out of both of the EPs is my favorite song off of the both of them. Like, this is my #1 favorite song. And aside from it being my #1 favorite song off of Lovers 1, also the longest song off of Lovers 1, and it's the longest song out of both EPs as well. And I honestly can't complain. The song is beautiful, perfect, love it. Track 3, Lovers. Track 3 really kicks up that classic Ray Brown sound. You've got the stretched and distorted key work with the inclusion of light drumming, but it's Ray's vocals that really just steal the show with this song. Vocally, yes, it is the lead focus for the most part, but in certain bits of this track, the vocals pull both vocal and instrumental duties at the same time, both when intended and possibly when it wasn't intended. That's just how my ears are processing it. Lovers as a track really broke up the assumption guesses while listening to the EP for the very first time, because as I'm going through an EP, I'm like, okay, next song will probably sound vividly different or somewhat the same. But in Lover's case, it took what Real Love was and what Never Quite Right was and just completely took a different turn from it. Track 4, Strange Love. Track 4 starts out with almost tribal sounding drums. Ray swoops in, crooning and singing very beautifully, and this is yet another example, much like Lovers, where the vocals pull both vocal and instrumental duties at the same time. And especially with Strange Love, both the vocals and the instrumentals do meet in the middle and somewhat combine and become an entity of their own. The only downside is that Strange Love is extremely short. It's barely 2 minutes. I believe it's a minute and 39 seconds. But at the same time, it's one of those songs where it didn't need to be longer and it didn't feel like it was short just for the sake of making a short song. It's very whole, it's very full, and it doesn't feel like it's missing out on anything. Track 5, Hold Me. Track 5 is my second major favorite off of Lovers 1. Ugh, the key work, the synth, the harmonies at the beginning. This track just feels like a completely different world with every beat of the drum. Ray's backing vocals rubbing up against his normal vocals on the track as the synth and the drums just echo out. Bruh, Hold Me is just this visual friggin' masterpiece in MP3 format, with just megatons to show off. The track, while quiet at times and never really leaving its set pace, doesn't disappoint in the slightest. Hold Me is beautiful. It is fan-damn-tastic, and it was so hard trying to choose between Never Quite Right and Hold Me, but I think I got it down pat. Track 6, Dodge. The final track off of Lovers 1 takes on a much more dancier route than the 5 previous tracks, and it's got a bit of an Aphex Twin shape to it at times as well. Dodge is out of nowhere, it's random, but at the same time it's oddly fitting. While the track is dancier and somewhat Aphex Twin-esque, guitar strums shout their way out towards the midsection of the track, before the song begins to pulsate and flash in a very futuresque way, very Blade Runner-y. It's vaporwavy almost, but it's vaporwavy without it being vaporwave. A random yet strong closer for Lovers 1. Okay, now we're talking about Lovers 2. Track 1, Chaplin Candy. Chaplin Candy was the very first single to be released off of the Lovers project, and ironically enough, it was the very first Ray Brown song I had ever heard. Chaplin Candy kicks off Lovers 2 with a real swing. The pianos, the overall organic feeling to the instrumental, the pitched backing vocals, Ray's normal vocals. Chaplin Candy, Christ, this thing is like a painting in MP3 format. So many different curves and shapes being splattered across with different sounds and vibes. Chaplin Candy is an experience all of its own, and it's one hell of an opener. But believe it or not, it's not one of my top 3 favorites. It was for the first few listens, but Lovers 2 is, it's stacked. It's very much stacked, and it was hard to choose my top 3. But anyway, moving on to track 2, AI. Track 2 begins with plucky keywork echoing right on next to Ray's vocals. The keys almost sound like a xylophone, which brings a different sense of character to Lovers 2. Ray's vocal performance is top-notch, and is honestly what sells this very ballad-esque tone to the song. And it's a very hard track to put down after first listen. With Lovers 2, this was a bit of a momentum stopper for me. Took me a few times to listen to this song before carrying on to the next song. AI is my third major favorite off of Lovers 2. Track 3, Lowline. Track 3 is another super short track, sitting at about 1 minute and 30 seconds. But yet again, the track feels whole despite that short runtime. The track is very icy and it reminds me a lot of the ice caverns from Ocarina of Time, especially with how the keys are set. The track is one of the sadder ones off of the Lovers series, but I ain't complaining. I love me some sad music. Track 4, All I Want. Track 4 is my first major favorite off of Lovers 2. It brings in that R&B meets neo-soul feel, and that just snapped me up in an instant. The track is on the low side, nothing majorly crazy happens within it. There are a few rather twangy notes that does break it up a bit, but it croons along very sweetly, very smoothly. All I Want was the second momentum stopper on Lovers 2. This one took me a little bit longer to really get over. I had a very, very hard time moving past it upon my first listen, and rightfully so. This track is damn beautiful. I would say that it rivals Never Quite Right from Lovers 1. Track 5, Let Go. Track 5 took me by surprise instantaneously. I thought the follow-up to All I Want would be something a little bit more different, but Let Go only ups the feels and the echoey goodness up by the hundreds. Yet again, Ray takes the spotlight on this track. His vocals on this track are liquid. It's like watching raindrops run off of your roof in the middle of a midsummer downpour. But what rivals Ray's vocals on this track is the swelling of the instrumental. So there's 2 crazily amazing things happening in this song, both one after another. Yet again, this was another very hard track to move past upon first listen. But Let Go is my second major favorite off of Lovers 2. All I Want still takes the dang cake. And then we move on to track 6, Outro, which as the title suggests, is the finale. And it's quite the end piece. Harmonies, shattering keys, light drumming. Outro almost sums up every single song on Lovers 1 and 2 within a minute, especially with how the track shifts, how the keys and the drums often trade places with each other. Combat that with Ray's vocals fading in and out against that ever-shifting instrumental creates somewhat of a rise at the end of this very, very beautiful musical experience, making Outro one hell of a closing track. And in all honesty, I personally don't think this release could have ended off any better than with Outro. Both Lovers 1 and Lovers 2 are megaton hits. From the moment that I started listening to Lovers 1 to the moment that I started listening to Lovers 2, I was completely in this world that Ray Brown was creating. I was completely for it as well. Nothing distracted me from these EPs. I was just fully in. I was fully set in. Every song sounds different from the last. And even this morning when I woke up and I re-listened to both of them a couple of times and I rewrote my review, I was just completely in the moment. Lovers 1 and 2 are both hugely amazing, both hugely beautiful, and I honestly cannot recommend the both of them enough. Now, Lovers 1 and 2 had been described as an album, a debut album. So I was a little surprised when I went to iTunes Store and I saw that there was 2 of them and they were EPs and such. But when it comes down to my end of the year lists, I think I'm going to list these as an album, just both together. But as of right now, I'm going to give Lovers 1 a 5 out of 5, and I'm going to give Lovers 2 a 5 out of 5 as well. Both of these EPs are just astoundingly beautiful, amazing. Everything from the instrumentals to the vocals to the lyrics, everything about these 2 EPs are just so very grand, and again, I can't recommend them high enough. There is going to be a link to both of them in the description below. Check them out, stream them. Both of the EPs are up on YouTube. You can listen to them in full there as well. I'll leave links there as well. Whatever you gotta do, listen to Lovers 1 and 2 by Ray Brown. They are oh so worth your time. But anyway, that's about going to wrap it up, everybody. I have been Rob Reviews. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please, please, please check out Lovers 1 and 2 by Ray Brown, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye, everybody.